Hello and welcome to the Manifest to Live Life Golden Show. This is episode 88, 7 ways to stop being sad and missing what was and start manifesting from the opportunities you have now to feel joy. This conversation is one that I think a lot of people can benefit from, and one that I actually have personal experience from as well. So I think it's really important to know like what you're doing when you're missing, because we have all these emotions, and oftentimes I think people think they don't have control over their emotions. It's like, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm experiencing. Things are not the way they used to be. And the way they used to be, I was happier then, right? Like there's so many things in life that call us to different places and different people, and there's divorces, and there's kids leaving the house, and there's people that pass away, there's all, we lose pets. There's all these reasons to grieve and to work from that emotional field that doesn't feel good. No one's ever going to say that like grieving and sadness and misery ever feels good. But for some reason, people get addicted to it and they start creating from it year after year after year. I've seen it, especially as people get older, their lives are not as full as they used to be. They don't have as much life force coming through them. They begin to really seclude themselves. And as they seclude themselves more and more and more, they get lower and lower on that emotional scale because there is nothing in life that's calling them to more. There is no life force calling them to more. So we have to be aware of this so that we don't create those things that are going to continue a cycle of misery for us, because why would we want to do that? So I'm going to give you some questions, some journaling exercises today. I'm going to do a quick little release at the end to release any stuck energy, because a lot of times missing things and romanticizing about the way things used to be becomes a habit, and there is energy that gets stuck in our body that doesn't allow us to heal, because we've got this energy that is continually ramping up these neural pathways and the thoughts and the frequencies that don't let us create something new. So today is all about creating something new. So the first thing I want you to realize is what you're doing, what exactly you're doing, what missing is, and what the vibration and frequency you are putting yourself on is. Because if we don't recognize where we are, we can't really get to where we're going, right? We have to set our GPS for where we are to actually get to our destination. So if you've been dealing with a bunch of stuff, let me get some lemon water. I got a little tickle in my throat today. Good Lord. If you've been dealing with a bunch of stuff that has to do with, the holidays, I think the holidays really bring this stuff up for us in a big way. I think the holidays call us to a lot of expectation, to a lot of social awareness of what's going on around us. If you're on social media and social media is causing you to have this comparison feeling that everybody else is having fun except for you, I would say steer away from it on the days of the holidays that are really causing you pain, because you're not contributing to your happy feelings by doing that. And you're really not contributing to your feelings of connection by doing things through social media. Maybe you do, but I really, I do feel connected to people on social media, but I also believe there's a false sense of connection that has caused us to, stay in too much and to feel like that is our connection to the world or our connection to other people. It really isn't the same as being face to face with someone. So realize what you're doing when you are missing. The energy fields that you are putting yourself in when you are missing is of resistance. So it's resistance to what is the base of what missing is. When I'm missing something, I'm actually in resistance to what is right here, right now. Missing also, what it does is it kind of shuts the energy field down to new things that we could experience, to new joys that we could experience, to new traditions, to new things that we would really enjoy, but we can't get in. We're not in the frequency of joy when we're in the frequency of misery and missing. Grief is something that I've seen over time. People pass away, pets pass away, things, our lives are continuing to move. They're continuing to move. We've lost a lot of relatives over the years that we spent holidays with and that we really enjoyed and we really had a good time with. And where I've gone with all that is, yes, I grieved when I needed to grieve. I allowed that grief to come up, and I allowed myself to cry, and I allowed myself to, just be in what my emotional field called me to at the time. I think a lot of people don't deal with the grief when it happens. And there is a reason for that, because when a massive tragedy happens or a massive trauma happens in your life and you lose like a key player, you're not losing them. First of all, we are all part of this stream of consciousness, and they are just going back into non-physical. So they still are very much with you, but you can't feel them. When you're in a bunch of grief, you can't feel them. You literally cut the pathway down to all the miracles and all the magic and everything they want you to see, so that you know that they're still around you, that they're still very much a part of the stream of energy of all that is. What grief does is it blocks that flow. So it blocks you from really feeling their presence. It blocks you from really seeing the miracles. And you still may see them, like you still may see things and wonder, and it may get you excited. It may make you feel more sad. I don't know. But this is the thing. If you process the grief as you're moving along and you really acknowledge what you're feeling, that grief won't be so intense. You'll be able to have more moments of grief than you will it, being a day-to-day process. And if it's someone super close to you, it's going to take time. It definitely takes time. Grief takes time. There's no doubt about it. And creating a new life for yourself, a new identity for yourself, especially if it's a spouse or a child or, just someone super close to you, it's going to take time. There's no doubt about it. And when we try to move too fast and we get back into life super fast and we don't allow those energies to really come through us and process through us, that's when we get stuck. That's when, we get triggered. When little things happen, we get super triggered because we have all this grief that we haven't dealt with. So one thing I found out in the last 2 years, year or so, is grief actually takes place in the lungs. So if you've had any trouble with your lungs, if you've had a lot of respiratory issues, a lot of times that is unexpressed grief, and it's grief that you haven't dealt with. There's another show, and I'll put it in the show notes. I can't remember which one it is, that I put up last year about, I had valley fever. I got valley fever really bad, and I connected it to the grieving of my mom, who I am estranged from. So that was really a huge part of me understanding that the way that I looked at that situation was causing me pain, and I didn't even really realize it. It was underlying for sure. And this was a whole new level of clearing that really served me, that really helped me. So, grief will manifest in a lot of ways. It could manifest in sickness. It could manifest in depression. It could manifest just in not being able to move forward in your life. And that's what missing things does. That's what missing people does. And feeling like, okay, this is not the way it's supposed to be. This person is supposed to be here with me. This family gathering doesn't have everyone that it needs for me to be happy. Man, do I have experiences with that. So, many of you know that I moved from from Connecticut to California 7 years ago, and we left, all of our extended family there. And then I have a daughter who moved out here for a little while, and she moved back there. So we're not all able to get together on the holidays, and we're not all able to get together. Yesterday we went to the Sawdust Festival, which is so cool. It's this like local artisan little, it's just really cool, this little festival, and there's music and there's food, and it's super fun. And I've done that with my oldest daughter I did it for many years with her, and it was really fun. And she wasn't there yesterday. And I love her so much. And this doesn't mean that I don't love her, but there wasn't that component of feeling. Now, the first year she left, yes, maybe I did allow myself to feel some sadness. And that first year that she left, there were times. I'm not saying that you're going to like flip the switch here and you're never going to feel sadness missing things. You have to go through the process. This is a process. So the first year, so if you're like new to this and you're just in the first year of maybe divorce or moving your home or moving your family or, being away from your kids, maybe you're an empty nester for the first year. it's going to take a little bit of time, and it takes some attention and some focus and some intention to work on this and process it and let it go. So I've got a couple of questions that will help you to do that. So, looking when you do the thing where you look back at your memories, and this would be easy for me to do too, because we had a super, thriving family. We have 4 children. We went to a beautiful church. We had incredible friends at our church. Our lives were very full, very exciting, very fun, always surrounded by a lot of people. Now things are different. They're definitely different. Are they better? I don't think so. I look back and I think, wow, those memories are so beautiful. They really are. And I cherish my children's childhoods. I feel like we did, it was full and it was beautiful and it was wonderful, but we're moving into different chapters in our life where our kids are getting older and they have their own families and they have their own locations. And because of that, we are looking at our lives going, okay, what do we want now? Because a lot of the stuff that we experience that we don't realize is obligatory. We do the obligations, we do the family holidays, we spend time with people we don't normally spend time with them unless you're a super close knit family. A lot of times there's relatives that we only see at the holidays, which is kind of funny. They're not people that we necessarily choose to spend any other time with than the holidays. So that's really interesting. And as our kids grow and move on and move forward, what do we want now? What do we want to create? What's the life that we want to experience without having any obligation? There's a lot of freedom in that. If you can get out of the sadness, if you're feeling the sadness for not being in that time period, then you're going to drag that energy and you're not going to allow yourself to go, oh, this is new and this is a new opportunity. You're not going to allow for new opportunities to really expose themselves to you when you're dragging that past and feeling sad. So that's what it does. It blocks the flow and it activates a lower vibration, which doesn't allow things to manifest. So what this is doing for you, this is always what challenge or contrast or low frequencies or emotions do for you. They help you to clarify what you actually want to feel. So, what you're feeling right now, if you are feeling sadness or misery or missing, they're going to show you because you actually want the opposite of that. So, you actually want happiness, you want joy. That's where that fuel for that desire comes from, is a lot of that sadness. So, this is the process that we take ourselves through when we acknowledge the sadness, when we journal it out, and then when we start asking the questions of, what do I really want moving forward? Maybe I want a home that's full of people. Maybe I want just one significant other. Maybe I want to be alone. Maybe I want to have like a total self-care situation where I'm like really taking care of myself and I'm really paying attention to what I want to create in this life. Maybe I'm getting more creative. Maybe there's things that I've never had time for before, especially if you're, facing retirement. Maybe there's things I've never had time for before that I now have time for. And that is amazing. And it's a new and beautiful chapter in your life. There's so many people out there. If you look at a lot of the people who became, famous or, super successful later on in life in their 50s and 60s and 70s, that's when they really started to create success because they didn't have the obligations of, the family and the things that we walk through in those younger years. So that's exciting. If you are in the thick of it right now and you're in a lot of stress, like we can take it the other way as well. If you're in the family and you're raising little kids and you're needing to go to holidays with family, maybe that you don't really want to be with, there is a preciousness in that as well. There is recognizing that it's not going to be like this forever. And it's taking stock in the preciousness of what you have to experience right now. Yes, there's a lot of hustle and bustle. Yes, there's a lot of stress, but we always put ourselves under those things by our own judgment and perception of what's going on and the standard that we hold ourselves to. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that I still do this. Like I just did this recently. holding myself to a standard with my kids and feeling like I need to give them a lot of things for their birthday or give them a lot of things for Christmas. I think every mother and every, maybe not father, I don't know about fathers. I know my husband probably goes through this less than I do because this is a me thing for sure. And I don't know if it's a mom thing or if it's just maybe a past experience thing for me where holidays and my birthdays were disappointments. And I don't ever want anybody to feel that way, like to feel the way that I felt when nobody made a big deal about my birthday. When I was younger, there was a big deal made about birthdays. We had a big party. We had a pool. So we always had a pool party. My birthday was always in the summer. We got lots of toys. We got lots of friends. We got a big cake and it was special, right? So that's kind of my expectation. And as I got older, I think one of the worst birthdays I ever had was the one where I had my daughter. So I was 19 years old, I had a baby, and 2 weeks later, I turned 21. That's crazy. No, I'm sorry. I turned 20. Yeah. My second baby, I turned 21. So I turned 20 2 weeks after I had her. And, postpartum, and my life is not mine anymore. And I remember, and I'm nursing, and she's nursing a lot, and we still don't have that down. And she's up all night. And I literally felt like my whole life had been like pulled out from under me. And I remember going to my husband, and he wasn't even my husband yet. We weren't even married yet. He was going to take me to dinner, and there was no card. There was no gifts. My mom didn't give me a card. There was no gift. And my mom was going to watch the baby for us while we went out to dinner, which was very stressful because she wasn't really taking a bottle. And I just remember that night being so upset. So upset. In fact, I think I slept on the couch because I was so mad at my now husband that he did nothing to make me feel special after I just had brought his baby into the world. And it was awful. And I've had not as bad moving forward. Did my birthdays do that? But I started to decide that my birthdays, I would I would take my birthday and make it special. So I started like going to the beach by myself. If I wanted something, I would buy it. I started treating myself because I didn't want to leave that up to other people because it wasn't matching my expectation, and there was constant disappointment. So maybe that's where this comes from, is like what it was for me. And then, Christmas is huge, lots of presents. We got lots of presents as kids, and we gave our kids lots of presents. So there's all this expectation. And as your kids get older, it gets harder. It definitely gets harder to get them what they love and to get them excited and to feel like, you're actually like in that Christmas spirit, right? Like in the magic of Christmas. It just gets harder. So recently, my daughter had a birthday, and I remember just running around Target just trying to find her things, and just I knew as I was doing that it was wrong, and we ended up having this not so great exchange with it, and I realized that I needed to stop doing this, that I needed to stop having this huge expectation for birthdays and Christmases and trying to fill people up with stuff. It's not good for anyone. So if you're in that energy field, I want you to really pay attention. Like pay attention to what you're buying gifts for, what energy you're buying them from. I absolutely detest buying gifts from an obligatory place. Like I just don't. If I really feel compelled and inspired and in love with something that I want to give someone, yes, but the whole expectation and obligation thing just is not, it just doesn't work for me. So for you, moving forward, if that has changed, if the holidays have changed and maybe you aren't needing to go buy people stuff, and you're feeling the loss of that and you're feeling the lack of that, think outside the box. That's what we got to start doing. We got to think outside the box. Like what would be special for me? What would make this day feel good? Or what at this point in my life, it doesn't even have to be about the holidays, what in at this point of my life can I do to start really feeding that energy of life force and fulfillment, and like my life is moving forward in a way that feels really good to me and is about really connecting with what I love and what I love to do. Because, when we're raising families and stuff, a lot of times what we want goes by the wayside for a long time. I know it did for me. So now is the time in your life, if this is where you're at, to start asking, what does bring me joy and what does allow me to feel more life force and to feel like life is exciting. I recently realized so I've been group coaching for a few years, and I have a couple of groups that were going, and I kind of let it go for a little bit. I thought I was going to have this big project to work on and I wasn't going to have time. And then that kind of shifted and changed, and it wasn't as much time as I thought. And I started to feel yucky again. And I started to feel like, ooh, like this doesn't feel good. And I want to create more. I need to create with people. That's where I feel good. Co-creating with people feels really good to me. So then I created, just a one-off class, and then I turned it into another group. And that's what feeds me. Like, that's where I feel my passion is, when I'm working with people and when I'm really helping them, assisting them, and affecting their lives. That's what makes me feel good. I realized the other day I was talking to someone, and I was looking at their face, and what I said completely shifted them. And I could see that it was like they went from the shitty committee to the truth in that one conversation. And I thought, man, that's the rub for me. Like, that's the currency for me. I love that. So it's finding out what you love, what you really love doing, and what you really love creating. And if we're not in a mode of creation in our lives, we've got to find ways to do that. And that was one of the things that Julia Cameron promotes. She's the author of Artist Way, is the idea of the 3 pages in the morning. And she says, it's an automatic writing situation where you're just writing every day, pen to paper writing every day. I took that and I started writing books. And now I have 2 books that are almost totally completed. One is almost fully edited, and then the second one is like right behind it, which will be the prequel to Mindful Manifestation Secrets, which is kind of our life story and the manifestations that happened along the way. So I'm really excited about that one. But my new one is coming out really soon, Mindful Manifestation Secrets Daily Guide and Journal, and that will accompany Mindful Manifestation Secrets. And I did that like since September. I just pumped these books out. So creativity is the connection to life force. So find out what really rings your bells and what really helps you to create, because it will help you to stop looking back. When we're moving forward and we're excited about life, we are going to be less likely to be missing shit that was before, because our lives are going to be so great and so fantastic and so exciting. There's no time for that. We're not in the frequency of missing when we're excited about the future. So remember that. If you're feeling really down and you keep looking back and you're allowing that past to just create misery for you, first of all, you're taking away from the happiness from that moment. You really are. You're stealing the happiness of that past moment that you got to create. And you're actually not having gratitude for it. So that's number one. Number two is you're putting yourself on a frequency of resistance, which means I am not accepting or happy with what is now. And when we're not happy in what is accepting of now, we can't create happiness in the now. So letting go and no longer missing is a huge part of us moving forward and deciding what we want our life to be. Also recognizing, let's say you're not missing anything particularly in the past, but you are regretting. Let's say you keep looking back and you've got a bunch of regret. Maybe you've got a divorce. Maybe you've got a failed relationship, that freaking relationship that you just can't get over, the one that broke your heart into pieces. We all have those, right? Those things that you look back and you allow them to promote in your present, you allow them to show up in your present, those energies, those frequencies will continually put you in a low vibrational field, because you're not feeling the gratitude or what that has called your desire to be. Let me explain. When we have shitty things happen in our past, they actually create new desire for us. So if, you had a super bad heartbreak, what did I learn from that? So these are the questions, the journaling. What did I learn from that? What do I want moving forward? What is the clarity of the new partner that I want to experience? What needed to be healed? There was something in that relationship that I'm responsible for, that I brought to that relationship, that I created that relationship so that I could move forward and I could expand and grow from it. Where is my growing edge from that experience. When you do that, you will move forward a lot faster and you won't drag these past experiences with you. Super duper important. All right. So this is one thing that I started to realize when my daughter lived here in California for 2 years, and the day that she told us that she was moving back to Connecticut, that she didn't like it here, was like somebody set a bomb off in the middle of my chest. I couldn't respond. I got up, I walked out of the house because I didn't know what to say. It was like one of my biggest heartbreaks that I've ever experienced because I had my family here. My other daughter's in Arizona, so she was close by. So we were able to do all the holidays together. And so it was a blow. When I say a blow, it was a blow. It was one of the biggest blows I think I've experienced in my life. And what I started to realize was, letting her go and letting her go back to the East Coast and where she felt the happiest and letting her create her own life experience opened up a lot of things for me. Not that I don't would love for her to come back here, but it opened up a lot of things. Like my relationships with my other kids deepened because her and I are super close. So it kind of created some space for me to really create and connect with my other children. It allowed me to make more friends because we would often just go out with her and her husband. So my life was a little bit, it wasn't as open. I wasn't manifesting a bunch of friendships because I was, keeping myself, they're my favorite people to hang out with. They're some of my favorite people. So, looking at that and realizing that it did allow me to expand and grow, and it has allowed my life to become more, is amazing. Also, now when we see each other, that quality time is pretty amazing. It really is that amazing time that we come together because we love each other so much and we haven't been together is different than when I saw her, every weekend or every other weekend. So that's good. So that's a greater capacity for joy, right? And my second daughter, put up a post recently about, our family not being together this Christmas. And this is the first Christmas we won't be together, that we haven't been together in a quite a long time. There was one when we first moved here and we decided we were never going to do that again because it felt so awful. But we've grown and we've matured, and Christmas is Christmas. It's a holiday that, it's like a Hallmark holiday. I know there's a religious holiday involved in it, but it feels like there's a lot of pressure for it to be a certain thing. And we're not those kind of people. Like, we're out of the box people. We do things differently. We don't exactly go with the mainstream, in case you haven't noticed. So, we're not sure what we're going to do this year, but she had posted how, next year is going to be amazing. And I totally agree with her. Like, after not having a year together, we're not taking that for granted anymore. We're really recognizing that the time that we have together is super precious. So I don't know quite yet what we're going to do. We're kind of joking around. We're throwing things around. Like, we might be movie people this year. We might hit the beach. We definitely are going to go for a hike and be in nature with our girls. Our two younger girls will be here. We're going to make some delicious food. We're going to relax. I mean, hello, we can relax on the holiday. We're not going to put ourselves under a bunch of pressure. And I refuse to feel miserable on these days anymore. It's just not, it's just silly to me. It's not worth it to put myself under that kind of pressure or allow my frequency to drop on a beautiful time in my life. When I get to say what I want to do and where I want to go and how I want it to be. And that's what you get to do no matter where you are in your life, whether you are by yourself or you are with a group of people, or, I have two friends actually, that don't necessarily have like a house right now. And I know that's got to be challenging. I know for me, I mean, I try not to put myself in their shoes because I'm a different person. I got to have a house. I just know that about myself. I know when we moved to California and we were living in a hotel for a little while, I was coming unraveled because there's something about the home and creating the home that just really gives me some sort of feeling of love and stability. But if you don't have that right now, it's deciding how you want that to be. If you're not where you're at in life, you have to decide where you're going and what you actually want to create. So write it down. If it's a house that you want, write it down. If it's a tiny house that you want, write it down. If it's an RV that you want, write it down. Whatever you want your life experience to unfold, you have the ability to manifest it, but it's going to manifest a lot slower if you are in the past, if you are in resistance to what is right now. We got to move forward. Life is relentless, remember, in a really good way. It consistently calls us to more. And now is no exception to that. Now is the time to move forward. All right. So I realized over the period of that, over the last couple of years, my daughter's been back in Connecticut for 3 years. I realized that missing her was contributing nothing to my life. I realized that missing her was not making our relationship better. It wasn't making my life better. So ask yourself these questions. What is this missing this situation getting me? What am I getting from it? Am I getting anything from it? Is it contributing to any sort of energy, or is it really a waste of energy? That's what I started to decide was missing is a waste of my energy because I'm in resistance to what's here and right now. I'm not enjoying the people I'm with when I'm missing other people that aren't here. You can't have as much joy in that present experience when you're going, this person should be here. They're not there. So they shouldn't be there because they're not there. So that's part of that accepting of and letting go and then interrupting those neural pathways as soon as you've done your work. You got to do the processing. I get it. You're going to be sad sometimes. I get it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be sad sometimes. I definitely had my moments. I had, years of rough holidays, but how long do you want to do that for? How many holidays do you want to live in misery? How many holidays do you want to live in sadness? Do you want to create something new? Do you want to create something different? Maybe this universe has opened something up to you so that you can do different things like volunteering at a homeless shelter or going to a hospital and visiting. I guess you probably can't do that anymore, but just doing something outside of the box, that allows you to call more life through, that allows you to enjoy different people, to experience life in a new way. All right. So how can I create something now that activates the feelings I'm looking to create? Because the missing is about a feeling. It's about a feeling that you had, maybe it was being surrounded by people. So what is that? Community. It's a feeling of community that I miss. So what can I do that would give me that sense of community? Can I join groups? Can I go to a yoga class? Can I join a gym? What can I do that would give me a sense of community? Can I join some networking groups? Can I join some church? Can I join a church that feels right? Where can I go and what can I do that would give me that feeling of belonging? Right? Because that's what you're missing. You're feeling like you don't belong. You're feeling like you're out of place, that you don't have anywhere to go. So what is that feeling? So ask yourself, what is the sadness about? What is it calling me to? And what is the feeling that I'm looking to create? So if the feeling that you're looking to create is about connection, you have to do some work connecting. You can't expect other people to just reach back to you or reach out to you, especially if you've been feeling unloved or unsupported. People can't do it. I had a really interesting memory pop up when I was doing the notes for this, and it was about my Nana. So this was my dad's mom, and my Nana lived in a trailer park, a really nice trailer park. It wasn't like it was really nice. It was kind of like a retirement home trailer park. And so she lived in this really nice, I guess you'd probably call it a double wide. And I remember when we would go visit her, and she was the sweetest woman. I never heard her say a cross word in her life. She was just adorable and sweet and kind and just our nanny. I just adored her. So, but when we used to go see her, so she lived like 45 minutes from our house, and apparently my dad wasn't really great at visiting her all the time or connecting with her or calling her. No surprise there. My dad just wasn't like that. And so when we would go to visit her, she would be upset. And like half the time she would be complaining about how we never come to see her or we never call her. And her life got really small being in this little retirement community and living in this trailer. And she didn't drive for like probably 20 years of her life. So she actually she did get dementia and Alzheimer's and ended up in a facility, which I visited her a lot when she was in the facility because it was next to my town. But recognizing that she would say that all the time now, looking back, she would say, "You never visit me, you never," and it's like, we're sitting right here, like we're right in front of you. So she was blocking the flow of us being able to reach out to her more by believing that we never would. So don't do that if you're doing that. Don't be a nanny. Loved her, adored her, and I get it. You get sad, you get lonely, but it's like, well, I love when people say, well, you never call. Hey, do you have friends like that? Well, you never call, you never reach out. You haven't reached out to me. And it's like, your finger's broken. You can reach out to me. I'm super busy. I'm flowing over here. I actually won't really reach out to people unless I feel inspired. Um, Basically that's it. Unless I feel inspired or I have a question for you, I don't normally like say, it's got to be an inspiration for me to say, hey, do you want to hang out? Because I go with universal flow. So my life very much is like what's calling to me. So if you don't call to me, I probably, unless there's an inspired action going on, may not call back to you. I may not call to you. So if you want to get in touch with me, you've got to reach out to me. That's just the way it is. So if you want to get in touch with people, you've got to do it. You got to have the confidence. You've got to have the self-love. You've got to have the attention and intention to live a life that is more. You can't expect people to do that for you. And you especially can't expect people to do that for you if you've got a low vibe going on, a low self-esteem. It's like, if you're super depressed and you're super down and you're super pessimistic, who the hell is going to want to spend time with you? You've got to activate from the energy of connection and community and love and loving yourself enough to reach out to people and say, I deserve community. I deserve it. Instead of living from this unworthiness, everybody hates me, that energy is just going to keep creating the same thing. So how can I create something new that activates the feelings of what I'm looking to create? What am I creating from focusing on the past? What am I creating from focusing on the past? Is it just a bunch of misery and sadness? Am I in resistance to what's happening? Are you in comparisonitis? So I mentioned this in the beginning of letting go of social media if you need to do that when there's times when people are all like, happy and sunny. And the other thing about jealousy is it blocks the blessings that could flow to you. So when you feel jealous for somebody else, you're blocking what could actually come to you. You're blocking manifesting what they have that you want by being jealous. Instead, if you were like, oh, I'm so happy for them, that's a really good vibe. That allows the manifestational energy for that to actually come to you. That actually creates from the belief system, they have what I want and they're in my field, which means I have the ability to create it. I've had to let go of a lot of friends that were super jealous of my marriage because it's just like, it's no fun hanging out with somebody who's like sad because you're happy. That's no fun. Jeez, Louise, don't do that. All right, so we're moving forward here. I talked about number 4, which was refusing to feel bad and finding out what would feel good. Following the inspiration. What has this time opened up to me? What has this time opened up to me? Or if you're in the hustle and bustle of family life, what is precious right now? What do I get to enjoy right now? These kids are small and they're crazy. And I love that. Like, I love being around that because I know someday they're not going to be small and crazy. Someday they're going to be, teenagers hiding in their room. Trust me. Someday they're going to be adults that have moved out. So what is in the preciousness of right now that I can really enjoy and really feel gratitude for? Is there something I've always wanted to do? I shared that. Is there something I've always wanted to do? A lot of times we like only think about like what is possible and we put a lot of restraint on ourselves. Like, I know for us, even when it comes to holiday flying, it's super expensive. So we're just like, why would we do that? Why would we pay twice as much? But the truth is, if you're super freaking miserable on the holidays, get on a freaking plane and go see your family. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. Just do what feels best instead of creating a bunch of resistance about, oh, I don't want to spend the money. I'm going to constrict. Not a good idea. Going, being with your family, having a wonderful time is currency. That's putting yourself in the place of abundance. So it's a good idea to do it. I recently had a thing. I don't know if I shared this about my cats. So this is a good thing of resistance. And I think about this when it comes to like spending money that you sometimes need to spend. So I've got two cats and they're like 12 and 13. So they're getting older and they've been with us their whole lives. They moved with us from Connecticut, California. We love them, Lulu and Willow. And they both were throwing up a lot, like a ton, like everywhere. And I just got my carpets cleaned and it was like super stressful. And this was like on the heels of my retreat that I was running in September. And then my family was coming in and we were all staying in this beach house, like 20 minutes from my house. And I'm just like resistant. My daughter's bringing the cats to the vet. I don't want to spend money on the cats because they're older. I know this seems cruel and pet lovers are going to hate me for it. But you're just like, they want to do all these tests and they want to, and finally, we were just like, mercy, like something's got to shift. Like I'm in resistance to all of this. Something has to shift. So we ended up doing like $1,000 worth of testing for our one cat and found out they were basically had some kidney issues. So they changed their food, put her on medication, and boom, they are both totally, totally fine now. So it was $1,000, but it was $1,000 well spent as far as I'm concerned. And all the resistance I created around it, I could have had healthy, happy kitties that weren't throwing up everywhere a lot sooner had I not created resistance. So I started thinking about that today when I was thinking about this show and like, what kind of resistance do you put on your holidays or visiting with people or your sadness? Like, are you keeping yourself from being with people because it's a long drive or you got to get on a plane or any of that stuff that actually could create like, what do I really want is an awesome question. What do I really want is an awesome question. Quite a few years ago, it was our anniversary and we were just kind of coming out of our financial stuff. We were doing a lot better. We had some money to play with. And I remember my husband saying to me, what do you want to do? And I'm thinking this was probably like 2 years before we moved to California. And he's like, what would you want to do? And, we were thinking about going up north and this is February. So it's like going up north is like, it's going to be colder. And he's like, no, like if you could really choose what you want to do. And I said, if I could really choose, like get myself out of the box, I would choose to go somewhere warm in the middle of February. So we ended up actually we went to Vegas to visit some friends first, and then we flew to California. And I will never forget this because I feel like it was a huge part of our desire to live here 2 years before. We got off the plane in Long Beach, California, and February, it's like below zero in Connecticut. I'm in a tank top. The airport's outside. I don't know if you've ever been to Long Beach, but it's literally outside. Like you get off the plane, you're outside, and I'm in a tank top and it's 85 degrees. And I remember laying by the pool and seeing all these hummingbirds and flowers. And I'm like, it's February. And I am like, I'm in a bathing suit. It was so amazing. And I know it was part of what fueled us. So getting out of the box and going, what do I really want? Start asking yourself that and start looking for ways that you can actually create it and get out of your own way, right? We stand in our own way sometimes. All right. So once you realize that missing and regretting the past is futile, it's not contributing anything to your life, it's time to start letting it go. So this is where the addiction to emotions comes in, and you got to start interrupting it. So anytime I start to go into it's been a few years, so I think my process is pretty good where I don't even really there's that frequency is not there for me anymore to be really sad and to miss my kids. Every once in a while I do still feel a little bit with my granddaughter for sure, because she also used to live here in California and they just had to move back to Arizona. So there are those feelings of like, oh, I don't get to go to her school stuff. And, I did have that this past trip where those thoughts came, right? And I can jump on them and I can ride that roller coaster ride to misery and I can feel really sad and I can cry really hard when she leaves. Or I can be really grateful that she only lives a 5-hour drive from me or a 1-hour plane trip from me, and that I do get to see her like once or twice. We see each other like once every 2 months. And we have really quality time when they're here. So that's amazing. And she adores me. Like, I'm her Gigi. She loves me. We were playing this game. It was so funny. We drew pictures, which was really fun. I haven't drawn in a long time. So we were drawing pictures, and she was like the judge, and she was scoring us. And it was my husband and myself, and she kept picking me, and it was so funny. And she adores my husband, but she just kept saying, Gigi's the winner. And it just, oh my God, the grandbaby love. It is just outstanding. Something I love so much. So missing her does not allow me to feel joy. It allows me to feel misery. And it's not what I want to think of when I think of her. I want to think about how much I love her. I tell her all the time, I say, Gigi lives in your heart. I'm in your heart. All you have to do is close your eyes and focus on your heart, and I'm right there. I'm that love in your heart. And that really helps her and me be able to live, not in the same place. All right. So, number 5, understanding the nature of life, that life is relentless. It keeps coming. It'll keep flowing based on your acceptance for what is and for what is coming next. So it will keep flowing. The reason why people feel like they get stuck is because they draw from that past energy, and they allow that past energy to slow down the energy to new manifestation. Number 6, you are at choice once you deal with your feelings. So yes, there is a process, a little journaling exercise of what is this sadness getting for me? What is looking to clear? Where have I felt this sadness before? Especially if you have sadness that has to do with a heartbreak or losing someone, what is this sadness calling me to? What is it calling through me? What is it asking me to heal or to pay attention to so that I can process it? We can always process emotion. We do not have to live in grief and sadness. We can always process emotion by going within and asking the right questions and writing them out and getting to know ourselves, really getting to know ourselves. Okay, so number 7 is letting go and interrupting to place yourself in a more optimal place for manifestation. You cannot manifest that which you hold yourself from. You can't manifest from that place. So I know I shared in my last show about my friend who lost 2 cats in the last month, which is really hard. And she had one of them for 18 years, and not the other one for a long time too. And, losing a pet it's hard because they're like your kids, they live in your home, you take care of them, they mean a lot to you. And I had shared on the last show, my daughter had lost like one of her, her babies, her cat. And I remember she immediately went out and got another cat. And my friend did that as well recently. So she's adopting a kitten, which I think is so great because we do have more love to give. And if we want to manifest moving forward and not allow the grief to hold us down, we've got to do things that are going to call more life force through us. So it doesn't mean that you like replace things or replace people, but it does mean that you connect with what you want moving forward. What you want to create moving forward is super important to acknowledge and to create by acknowledging what it is. Like, okay, I'm sad. What is this calling forward? What do I really want? These are all really good questions. So missing is slowing down the energy field and not feeling gratitude for what you had. It's not trusting in what you have that is to come. I love that. I had to repeat that. Okay, the truth is nothing is missing. Nothing is missing from your life. The only thing that is missing is your belief that something is missing. That's it. Your life right here has the ability to be what you most want it to be by letting go of what was and by deciding, okay, I'm going to create this. I'm going to find a way. When we first moved to California, the past 7 years, like friendships and community has been a little hard. It's been a little challenging, especially because, a lot of the way that you create community as you have a family and as your family is growing up is through other parents, right? Meeting other parents, that sort of a thing. And we had a little bit of that through my daughter's dance team where we loved the parents and we loved spending time with them, but they weren't really our friends outside of that. So it's like, where do we find community? I found community through my gym, and now I'm finding community through this other gym that I joined. Still love my community from before. My friends, I have a great group of friends that I have manifested from not being miserable and saying, I don't have any friends and there's no one here that I connect with. If you do that, it's going to be a lot harder to find them because you're in the vibration of not believing they're around. So you have to place yourself in places where there are people where you have that potential. And you got to be a little outgoing. You got to get yourself out of your box. You got to say things to people. You got to connect. You got to smile. You got to say hello. You got to introduce yourself. It's so funny. This morning I was at the gym and I work out at this class at 6 a.m. every day. And there's this woman that's there every day, just like my husband and I. There's probably like 3 or 4 of us that are there like every day. And we, not really connected, not kind of said hi to each other, not really, but that ice hadn't been broken yet. And I was in the locker room with her today, and she was with a friend, and her friend was super outgoing, and her friend like introduced herself to me and asked me my name, which got this other woman to tell me her name. And then we talked about how we work out together every day and our trainer and stuff, and it started a conversation. And I was like, how funny that it took an outgoing person for us to have a conversation, and now we're going to be friends. And it's been like a month since we've been seeing each other just about daily and never said a word to one another and didn't know each other's names. But it took this other woman to break the ice for us. So be outgoing, think of something to say, ask somebody their name. That's the best way to start creating relationships, is breaking through that awkwardness and, creating freaking conversation. Not that hard, but it is, but it's not. It really isn't. All right. This moment is as perfect as you will allow it to be. It is as perfect as you will allow it to be. If you have resistance about it, having resistance is like having your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. Your car's like spinning around. You're not going anywhere that way. So it is what it is, right? It is, I am where I am. Where do I want to go from here? Instead of believing like, okay, it's been years and I've spent every holiday by myself and I'm really tired of that. What can I do that would create some community and some connection for me this holiday season? How can I do it differently? No matter what you've experienced, there's a way to do it differently. All right. You are the one who ruins the moment by not feeling gratitude for all that you have experienced and for all that you get to experience now. You are the only one. You are the only one that perceives and judges this moment as an imperfection. It is perfect just the way it is, and it is calling you to create something new if it isn't the way you want it to be. You have to be diligent, determined, and have your focus and hone your focus. Okay. So you have to be diligent, determined, and hone your focus, because everything is temporary. And when you trust that what you are healing will lead you to more, that what you want, that what you desire is leading you to more, when you trust that, you accept much more, and that allows the energy to move. So let go of what was by smiling when you think of it, when you think of how wonderful it was, and recognize that this moment holds that wonder too. It holds it in a different way. It may be wonderful in a different way. It may be delicious in a different way, but it's all up to you to create. It is all up to you to manifest the life that you most want to live, no matter what you've lived before. No matter what you've decided, now is the time to take the reins and decide that this will be different, that moving forward, you're going to do the things. You're going to quiet the mind. You're going to shut that mind down. You're going to shut down that shitty committee that's always trying to talk you out of things. And you're going to move forward, and you're going to do things out of your comfort zone that actually create the life you most want to live. All right. So that's how you let go of the past. Those are the 7 ways to let that missing vibration, that missing frequency that isn't allowing you to live your most passionate and purposeful and wonderful life right now. All right. So I'm going to do a little exercise. And I just want you to, if you're driving, don't do this right now. Like pause it and wait till you get home, because you really do need to close your eyes to focus on this. So we're going to do a little energy release. I did this last week at the end of my other thing, but this is if you've got some stuck energy of missing, or if you've got some grief going on, it will help you to release that. So close your eyes and take a nice, long, slow, deep breath. and blow it out. And take another breath and blow it out. And just settle yourself into this moment. Let your shoulders drop. Let your eyes relax. The muscles in the back of your eyes. Let your jaw relax. And I want you to just for a moment think about something that has caused you to miss, or something from your past that has caused you to feel that little pang of misery. So whether it's regret or you're missing something, and just see where it is in your body. See if it's in your heart. Maybe it was a heartbreak. See if it's in your belly. Maybe it was something that, activated some feelings of unworthiness. And I want you to take a long, slow, deep breath, and we're going to fully release all of the unworthiness, heartbreak, unforgiveness, misery about the past, the missing energy, releasing all grief from your lungs, releasing all grief from your heart, releasing and letting go of what was so that we can create something new. So letting go of all sadness, releasing all connection to low vibrational energies and emotions, releasing all the energies and beliefs about the holidays that they need to be a certain way, releasing all stress, releasing all overwhelmment or tension about what's about to come up, releasing all resistance. Yeah, just take a deep breath and release all the resistance. So this is all the looking back, the regretting what happened, or not allowing yourself to fully let go, and just standing in this moment here where you have a clear path. It's still clearing, so still breathe out. I can feel the energy is still clearing, and still continue to take deep breaths and let it go. You should feel that energy lightening up, and you should feel the heavy energy leaving you. And just blow it away. Imagine it's all blowing away from your field. So if you can look over your head and imagine there was clouds and you're just blowing those clouds away, no longer allowing this low vibrational energy to be part of your experience. And as you blow those clouds away, I want you to see the sun. And that sun streams down in its warm golden light. And it allows you to activate your joy. So wherever that was in your body, just feel that this light is coming in and it's activating your joy, your presence, your ability to be here now, your ability to create something new, the excitement, the passion, the energy for creating in the future, and allowing yourself to really connect with your desires and connect with them in a way that you are excited about them and that you trust and have faith that they're coming true, that they absolutely are coming to you, and that there's no reason to miss. So we open up the possibilities and potentials of really asking ourselves, what do I want to do? And trusting that what you want to do manifests because you've activated from the energy of believing that you can have it. So take a couple of deep breaths and let that activate all the way around your field. So imagine that light is amping up your field all the way around you, all the way in you, all the way through your heart and your abdomen, all the way down, activating your love and support in this universe, and allowing you to feel centered, allowing you to trust, and allowing you to know that your natural state of being is joy, and that you have the choice to be in joy anytime you focus on all the good, all the wonder that this moment has to offer you now. All right, we should feel good. We should feel cleansed. We should feel clear. So thank you all for being with me today. So I have my book out, Mindful Manifestation Secrets. That is available on Amazon. If you can review that book for me, that is so freaking helpful. It really does. It helps to pull it up on Amazon, and it's really great. My new book is coming out soon. I'm really pushing for it to be out before Christmas. If not, it'll be right after Christmas. It's going to be soon, really soon. It's just the editing process. I want it to really read well for you. So we're diligently doing that every second I have possible. And I have some wonderful people that are helping me with that. Another favor, if you listen to this on Spotify, awesome. If you listen to it on YouTube, awesome. I'm looking to get some more subscribers on YouTube. I'm looking to build that YouTube channel. So it's Manifest to Live Life Golden. If you can subscribe, like, share from YouTube, that would be awesome to build it from that platform as well as Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to the actual podcast. It just helps, it helps to like and share. And if you have a show that really helped you and it makes you think of somebody, share my show with them. Like that's the way this thing is really going to grow. I really need this community. It would be, to manifest this community, sharing it in such a big way that that everybody starts to know this information that makes their life better and more joyful. If you've got people that are super stressed and super sad about the holidays, send this to them. Or if they're really missing something and they don't know how to get out of it, like send them this show. I don't think that they would be offended. I think that there's an activation that happens in these shows that especially if you do the energy release at the end, there's an activation that's going to help you to open up your eyes to new possibilities and to stop creating from a past vibration that no longer serves you. So like, share, subscribe. I guess I'm supposed to say that like every show. I think it works. I think it's going to work. I know it's going to work. I'm manifesting it, of course, right? All right. I love you all. I will see you next time. Peace out.